Hello everybody, we are back again, back in town, another live stream on the Thursday. Hello everybody, I hope everybody is well. Well, it's not some boom bass 2 you are hearing, it's a nice sound from bit 2. I was using the vowel filter, and maybe you'll think, oh, that's not really virtual analog, but there were vowel filters inside the analog synthesizers. I'll picture the choir sound from the Roland VP330, I believe it was also a vowel filter, which more a combination of multiple bandpass filters. And I believe that, I'm not sure if it's Blue 2 or Blue 3 where I made the sound. I think it's in Blue, where you have this VP sound. Let me see if I can find it. If I go to find presets, I think it's something like VP. Search. Yeah, VP Vox 1, there it is. It's really using, and is of course pretty dry, it's having hardly any effects, a bit chorus, so it sounds nice if you have a little bit of a stereo delay. This one uses parallel. Well, it's not serial. Let's so that's the more the VP sound. It's in Pats 1. So it's a very old sound. So here's the vowel filter, and if you shut that down, you hear how much this filter actually is working. Vocal filter or vowel filter. So this is bypass. So a string sound. And then if you go back to the original one, you hear that the okay, everybody, cool. Everybody can follow the live stream today. Some Steven does say he's on the Brussels waiting OMD. How cool! Great, Joan of Arc. Yeah. That's then you need this mellotron sound. Mellotron type of thing. We have mellotron Vox. But that's even worse. Should be more. Only one. Yeah, Stephen, have a good time with OMD. Depeche Mode was in the Netherlands. It was a bit too far for me, but it was a very nice concert, what I heard back from other people. So that's nice. So yeah, we had, of course, last week spontaneously the Sony camera, which works nice now with OBS software. It's the Alpha 5100 for the ones who know these Sony cams. And what I was doing today, I several times I talked about you guys in Cubase, that something when I did some demos and I pressed play, that sometimes you heard that things were not in sync. That is a feature in Cubase that it catches up a note which is ahead of the part where you're playing. So if I go here, you can see, for instance, 61 to 64, and bit has a sequence playing. So now I could find again where this feature is, and I did shut it off. So when I press now play, okay, what's that? I'm not sure. Need to mute something. So you see, when I play from measure 61, it doesn't play this bit. It starts playing when it really hits the... Well, this feature is inside Preferences. So if you go to Edit in Cubase, go to Preferences, and here is this one in the MIDI menu. You have then Chase Events. That is the one which does say, so that default it had even, I think, this as a default thing. And if I apply this now, you can see if I press 61, it starts still playing this first one. Hear that? So even if the note starts here on bar 60 and you have this chase active, even if you don't start on 61, it catches up on these notes. So that's the... And then if it's just a little bit different, yeah, it doesn't catch up very well. So it annoyed me a lot. So it's in the Edit Preferences, Cubase, Chase Events, and if you put off Note, then it's all okay. So then you don't have that Cubase plays notes which are ahead of the point where you play things. So it depends on each, but with the arpeggiator, sometimes the timing is not right. So because then the note, it simply plays on a different time that essentially was planned. So I shut it off now, and then you can see, apply, okay, that again, if I go to measure bar 61 and I play, this part is not playing, so it doesn't look ahead. It's a very low sub-boom bass sound. And now it would play because now it's in this 61. Very low sound, by the way. Yeah, so finally I found it. I know, I didn't know that it was somewhere in Cubase, but I simply took not the time myself for finding out, oh, Rob, where was it again? And I looked on Google on Look Ahead MIDI notes, but it's called, oh, I'm lost again in the name, Chase Events. So it chases the events before. So even if you hit on a bar, which is sometimes it can be handy if you play a lead sound over a part, you will not hear then the note which is playing then if it's out of this range. But I like it without the note chase event. Yeah, another thing I was doing. Oh, you hear this little bleep? That's my USB at the front of the computer. It's a bit wobbly. So very strangely, it pops up and pops in, but still working. So that's the one. Yeah, it's annoying, especially if you have sequence sound. With normal sounds, it's not that much of a issue. If I have here a sequence sound, let me see if I can make something annoying. Okay, let me see if I can try this. So, okay, how can let me see how I can show you how annoying this can be. Essentially, if I shut down this note, maybe that it does do this. It's not always out of timing, but I think, yeah, okay, this is good. It doesn't catch up. Let me see what happens if I have Chase. Of course, each sequencer has its own Chase events node. Let's see if it plays this one. Apply, okay. Doesn't play it, but look what happens if I start a little bit earlier. So, for instance, not in cycle, but here. Okay. Oh, the grid is working. If I start here, then essentially I don't want to hear this one because it starts on this point and not here. So here's the note on and there's the note off. So if I have Chase now active, you're going to hear this one and it will be out of timing. Hear that? So that's annoying. So that's each time, especially with arpeggiator sounds, that can be really because they start playing but on the wrong timing. So if I put this off again, I think other sequencers maybe have the same feature. So if you wonder why is my music from a given point maybe out of tempo, out of sync, then it well could be that in the MIDI settings, at least in Cubase, the Chase event, you need to switch off note. Apply this now, okay, and then when I start here on this event, this one will not be playing. You hear that? So that's the story. So I guess you get this whole thing. That's also annoying. I guess you also hear this. It's the waggly. It's a bad connection at the front, this computer with the USB. I need to really connect the webcam at the back part. So that I was doing ahead of the live stream because I thought, yeah, annoying, isn't it? It pops up each time here. I was really annoyed about it, and I thought, yeah, well, now I must find it where it was in these settings, and finally I found it. And another thing I wanted to do today is because I will be on stage in England in May, and I want to have a little bit smaller setup. And what my idea was to have then still the Prophet 3 SE on stage, because that one has a built-in sequencer, which is very nice. So if I go to the next scene, and I have again the Sony installed. So here we go. Here you see it. And you see it has in the top, it has this sequencer. But now I found out if you use cycle, that at the end of the cycle, when it goes to the start, it stops playing. And so that's most likely a bug in the sequential in the Pro 3, but I cannot figure out what it could be. That's the strange thing. So that's the fun part with computers and hardware. There's always something you don't expect and stops working. So if I start now, it should be playing. Give me a second. You can hear I routed also the now I need to be careful with the cables. I also routed the now it plays. Okay, so if I hit now play, it should play. You can hear that one. So now it keeps on playing, but what happens if you, and it stops also when I stop. Well, what happens if you use cycle or, for instance, the arranger track, which I use live on stage? And the arranger track makes that you can have a particular part that cycles, where you can improvise, and then you say, okay, go to the next part, and then you go to the rest of the song. But what happens in the cycle, when it does the full cycle and starts again at bar 61, then it stops playing the sequencer. You see it walking, the LED. Now it goes to the start of the cycle. It stops. Strange, isn't it? Okay, let me shut down sub-boom bass because I'm only playing this row 3 in the top. So so let's play it solo. Should be able to play it. And then it stops again. And if I put the cycle off, then it keeps on playing. So it's something what Cubase maybe did throw out after the end of the cycle. I did the chase. I also put that off. The thing I just this chase event. Maybe I thought maybe that's happening, but I have not a clue yet. So give me 1 second, because the sound is not really good from the. And you can see now it keeps on playing. So it's yeah, it's of course very dry. Maybe I should put on the, where is it, stereo? This one. Okay. Test. Stereo 2 is that other one. Yeah, now I have a delay on it. Oh, it still goes to the wrong one. This should be the one. This. Okay. Sorry for messing up, guys. Okay, that's better. And you see it's running out of sync now, so I need to start at the first beat. And the moment I go in cycle, it stops. So it stops. And it's of course cool to use the sequencer in a live situation. It's strange. I cannot. Could be it responds to song position. So in Cubase you have then the transport. So go in transport, and then you have project synchronization, and there you can see always send start message. MIDI clock follows project position. Maybe I should set that one down. So let me see if that works then better. Then it should start and continue. Hey, found it in the live stream. I found it. So it's in the I just posted in Facebook on the Sequential Pro 3 what that could be, but it's the song position which causes this. So you have in Cubase transport, where the project, you set the destinations of the MIDI clock. You see here, you have the file phase, UC MIDI port 2. So it's on MIDI port 1, the sequential. Always send start message, and that one is then that it starts playing. What you also could do is not sending start message and play manually on play the start button. But now I found it, so I need to press Alt print screen to have that one. Dot 1 second. So then I can paste as new image. Okay, so that should be okay. Okay, let's see the chat room, because I'm just telling what things you might also have in your live synthesizers, music host programs, and all that kind of fun parts. So you see the Pro 3, that's a very nice synthesizer for on stage. What is then also nice to do is can you switch on off things, and ahead of that I use this one. So let's grab that one here. Yeah, you can see down here, there you see the System 22 with the Euro rack and a little dubflow sequencer. While the modular synthesizer you see in the lower section, that I took with me on stage, but the flight case is so huge, and that's also a big thing in the car to transport. So that's this beast down here. It's a very nice synthesizer, modular synthesizers.com. I created a video about that synthesizer when I wrote the book, the 4-element synth book. I thought, yeah, it's a good idea to have a modular synthesizer, which I can show how connections are made in synthesizers. Because, for instance, if you say, okay, I take, for instance, Predator as an example. So here's Predator, and I go to a default preset, and I pick an oscillator. You see, for instance, if you go to the oscillator section here, you can oscillator 1 is playing, and you see TRK, which means tracking. And if I put it off, I can play the keyboard, but it doesn't play any melody. So the keyboard is a little bit masked now, but once I put on track, I can play melody. So the modular is a cool thing to show that essentially it's a connection from the MIDI note. The keyboard is a original, the note position, which note you play, and this one you connect to the oscillator input. And in a modular synthesizer, which you see in the on the cam, the Sony cam, is then, yeah, you really can see it. And in Predator 3, oh, by the way, it's masked. Of course, it's on front. Here it is. In Predator 3, you don't see the cable, but you see here a button. So if I press this off, I can play a different note, but doesn't play a different sound. When I put on tracking, then I can play the melody. So you don't see a cable, but it's a connection made internally using software. So the modular synthesizer was really great as a tool to explain how subtractive synthesis works. So that's the reason why I purchased it, I think already 12 years ago. It's a synthesizer.com, which is a remake of the Moog modular systems, and this is what they call a System 22. And what I will do after the live stream, in the info section, I will link you a video where I explain what my setup is in this System 22. So I have a Oberheim filter lineup, multi-mode filter, a Moog filter, two oscillators. One oscillator is as a LFO, yeah, two envelopes. Yeah, it's very cool, and you can you can already watch it in the playlist Studio Rob. I think in that section in the playlist you will find it. But I will put a link in the info section for this modular synthesizer. But that one I used on stage, but it's huge, and you want to have a flight case around it, and then still keep the cables inside of it. Then you got such a big box, and that made me decide to purchase this for on stage, this Pro 3 with this nice sequencer. And then you'll see some LEDs running, and it's because that if you make synthesizer music, essentially I could be on stage with two laptops and two keyboards doing almost everything with a laptop as a super synthesizer with split points and going to the next song. But you also want to have some real synthesizers on stage, which also makes that you can tweak things, do some spontaneous stuff. So so that's going to be on stage in England as well, the Pro 3, the Take 5, and also the Little Fatty. Yeah, I had that one, DJTH Productions. I had that on Dance Fair. Only the problem with Dance Fair was with the, let's go back to the scene. With Dance Fair, the problem was the MIDI did not work. So when I came back in the studio again in Dance Fair, it started working again. So it was very strange. I wanted to do that on Dance Fair as well. It's the same one, indeed. So you were there, the GJH Productions. Cool. For creating music, I only use Cubase. Many years ago, I started with Notator on Atari. Even Pro 24 I used, but that one crashed a little bit. Then I went over to Creator, Notator. That was on the did many productions with that on the Atari. Then that became Logic on PC, but that was then shut down. Then I moved over to Cubase and learned me a little bit about Cubase. So I only can handle Cubase, and of course we have all the sequencers here to check our software, so I can load in a software, play around with it, but I don't create music with it. Essentially, I'm happy that I can use Cubase a little bit. I simply don't have the time for learning all the other sequencer programs. Some users use different ones. Use Ableton, use Cubase, Studio One. They use a lot of different ones, but I don't have the time for it. Okay. Yeah, there are some cables in your VST, Gerd, but you don't see them. Although I must say some parts you can see in our plugin. So if you open bit 2 and you click on the logo, you can see here a little bit shining through some PCB boards, which Jon did solder. And there are many caps inside of it, ECs, and also a lot of analog gear is inside of it. You don't see it, but here, behind this part, you see a little bit. And therefore, we also add here a warning with a good a good warning for everybody who's using bit 2. So same story here. If you have new preset. Oh, that doesn't sound. So also here, if you have also here you can say track is keyboard tracking. If I shut it down, I can play any note, but it doesn't follow the keyboard. Keyboard tracking is also in the filter and is then more variable. Here you can amount. What essentially happens is the higher you play, the more You see here the cutoff frequency? It has the animation. So it opens in the background the cutoff. So that makes it more natural. Therefore, you also need keyboard tracking on the filter. Some people don't understand why it is there, but let me maybe show you an example. Of course, the bigger thing you can do is, if you want to know more about subtractive synthesis, you can look into the book I created about synthesis with 10 hours video you can watch. But let me see here in this bank, new preset. So for instance, if you have a saw waveform, so the tracking is here, tracking off. You throw that one to a filter, it goes to filter 1. And then you think, oh, here it sounds nice in this range, you know, in this keyboard range. But if you then play up here, it's too muddy, because the cutoff frequency cuts off from a particular frequency. So if I hit note 3, C3, it cuts off, and you can see the cutoff in the upper part here is the readout. The cutoff is set to 597, so let's say 600 Hertz. So with this note, the cutoff frequency on 600 Hertz sounds nice. If I play higher, the cutoff frequency still is at this point, 597. So the cutoff should walk with me if I play higher, because the balance for the frequency is good for this note, and I need to shift it if I play higher also to have the same balance. And then you see it follows, and you see also here a bit with the readout, it follows internally the cutoff changes. So that's the keyboard tracking is also needed for making good sounds. Otherwise you have maybe here a good sound. Maybe I should make it a little bit more exciting. So this is a nice here, but here it's too muddy. So you need to use the keyboard tracking to shift this whole balance between what it filters and the notes played. So that's keyboard tracking. And by the way, we had last week we had the Yamaha CF30 that even has the keyboard tracking going 200%. Okay, so I did distract myself, I think, about keyboard tracking. Oh yeah, I was talking about the modular synthesizers. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, so on stage, this machine was me a little bit. So I purchased the Sequential Pro 3, which is a very, very nice synthesizer. It has 3 different filters, Oberheim filter, Moog ladder filter, and the Prophet 600 filter, which is very nice. And maybe someday I should make a video about it. But I'm learning the sequencer, and you see during the live stream I found out why it stops. It's because of the song position. So I need to post this in the user group on Facebook that I found the solution for it. Okay. Still using Notator and Cubase with Atari. Yeah, I think the Atari still is for MIDI timing great. I had the extra boxes for the MIDI outputs. I left it in the studio and forgot to take it with me, the Atari, and it went to somebody. I never saw it back. That's a pity. It disappeared, my Atari computer. Okay, let me see the other questions in the chat room. So about rack extensions, yeah, we developed them, but I did, yeah, tonal axis is very good in rack extension. Tonal axis is also in the chat room. He uses a Reason a lot. He's our Reason specialist. Okay, I will see if I missed some of your questions. In the meantime, Johan is reading the Cubase help file about MIDI note chasing. Yeah, and indeed, I was looking for it because I was looking at typing, looking ahead, pre-note. But yeah, what I had to do is, of course, the chase note, the chasing the MIDI note. That was the whole point. And for the ones who maybe missed that, that's something that annoyed me each time. Once I'm doing a live stream or while music production, let me show you again, is that, for instance, if you have an arpeggiator sound, which is inside here, it starts playing here. Oh boy. So this is Blue 3 playing. And this one is bit sequence. Well, now the chase is off. So if I start here with the sequencer on a whole different point, just ahead of the start of the note, you see here the note. It's I'm ahead in. Well, let me make it a little bit bigger so that you see it a little better. Then the chase note feature makes that it plays already the sound. In some cases, it's maybe handy, but it made only a messy stuff. So now it doesn't play. Everything is nice. So if I go back to this feature, I go to Edit Preferences, and you go to the MIDI menu. This was on this chase events. And I can imagine if you maybe have a solo playing that you hear the note playing, but with sequencer sound, this chase event of note is really a, what they call a pain in the neck. Because now, when I start now, okay, so you see, I start here, not at the start of the note, but somewhere in the middle. And even here, if I would start here, you see the bit 2 doesn't start on the point where I have the cursor. And that one would also now start playing. And then everything is messed up. Because it starts this note actually now instead of that point. So, messed up. It's messed up. So, and it was irritating me for... once I had found it, but I forgot where it was, and I did shut it off, and everything was good. But then, yeah, then you forget what the name of this feature was. And today I had something like, oh, I need to find it now. So I thought, yeah, it most likely will be in the MIDI. So I looked here in MIDI file, MIDI filter, but here in MIDI, it has also a menu, and there is this chase event. So I keep the other ones I keep. That could be that maybe a pitch band is, that's not of a big of a problem, even program change. It has some advantages, only with arpeggiator sounds. It's, so I shut it off, and I will not shut it on again, because this is much better. So press OK. And then you see if I start here in the middle, this bit 2, this low sound will not sound. Okay, I said that. You see now it doesn't play. It doesn't play this bit 2 part. It doesn't look ahead. It doesn't chase this note. So now it really starts on this. And now when the really note plays, it's there. Okay, So that's a small repeat. Maybe in other music programs, it's the same story. It could be. Yeah, so Albino 3 Legends stream. Yeah, I can do that, no problem. Maybe for next week. I must say I didn't play that much with Albino 3 myself. Recent years. But sure, we can do that. And then sometimes I need to recall, okay, how was that again? So, yeah, sure. So let's do this next week. Next week, Thursday, we can do a Albino 3 Legend live stream. That will be a cool thing. Of course, we're also looking in making Albino 3 Anchor as compatible, but there are a few things which are happening. We redo the presets so that they have a better volume setting compared to our other instruments. So that will be one update. But of course, if you look at Albino 3 Legend, you will see it doesn't have a bank manager. So, and we need to see if we can embed that. For Anchor S, it would not make a difference, but once we do tagging, it's maybe also nice that we have our own tagging. And so that's something we need to look into. So another thing we did to the Legend version is because in the top section, you don't see the presets, what you might know from our other plugins. So if you open Bit 2 or any of our other plugins, you see that up here you have always the preset section in our plugins. And with Albino 3, which is then the original one, but then with VST3 and different user interface sizes, it still has the preset selection here. And these changes, what we added here is that bank is on the top and presets is below it. So it's toggled compared to our other recent plugins. So, and you see here is a layer preset. Oh no, that's the wrong synth. So, rain preset. So, of course, a legendary plugin. It was way ahead of its time at that time. And of course, people are happy to have it back. So these are the banks. These are the presets. And if I go here to the banks, you have the layered. You could layer 4 presets, which is, of course, very nice. Even layered arpeggiators. Layered arpeggiators. Where is it? Using filters, it's a little bit like a Prisma, only within one synth. So you layer down here 4 things together. So people would ask, can we have this also for Prisma? Well, we have Prisma working for Go2X very soon. This one causes a little bit of a problem because of the parameter layout. Because, yeah, which parameters you take? Because if it's a layer sound, do you take down the parameters from layer 1? So that's something still needs to be figured out by me, how to embed that. But Go2X already works nicely in Prisma, so that will be soon a update. And what we also want to do is to have a keyboard below the standalone version of Prisma, but that's also something for later on. And maybe you are curious what will be the next plugin in Explorer 9. Well, that's going to be a cool one, a very rough one. And we will also have another cool FX. And we are brainstorming about the name for this this new plugin, which is very nice on instruments or a vocal, but that will pop up. So 2 plugins will appear anyhow, hopefully ahead of the summer, and will be part of Explorer 9. Okay. So let me see the chat room if I miss things. Most likely. Yeah, tonal axis is helping us in having the volumes of the presets a bit louder. They at that time they were on minus 10 dB. I think they and now they are a bit more in line with our other projects. A row complin. Perhaps you should make a row complin. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but okay, in the chat room. So MT Teratech MT88. Yeah, I had that sound card as well. The cards were great. Yeah, they are pretty old now. Digital Facts. If you have the MT88, they were very nice. Good. Compressor limiter. Oh, there's so many compressor limiters. I'm not sure if we can do something which makes it different. There are so many good ones already out there. So I think the new FX which we'll make will be very nice. Very simple, but very nice in sound. And sometimes you want to have things which are simple and then simply sound good. So that's cool. Good guys. Let's see. Bit 2. And of course, if you look at the image, you can see. I go here. Let me see. Okay, let's do a little bit of Cat Browns. Teasing Cat Browns with scene number 2. Yeah, we have. Yes, you can see, guys. You can see the manual of the Pro 3. So I would say read the F manual, you know. So I need to they have some cool settings for the sequencer, which means that you can have MIDI clock in from the USB or the MIDI in or both. You can that it responds to start stop or not. And then you see the Jupiter 8 and I play one sound which then maybe Cat does recognize. So that's the end of this live stream playing Jupiter 8 sounds done on bit 2. So yes, Peru, indeed. It's the GP Pad Type 1. This is from the CD Continents. Yeah. Cool, isn't it? Anyhow, guys, thanks for watching. I'm a little bit earlier out today. Next week, we will do a session into Albino 3 Legend. Oh, Continent, yeah. Albino 3 Legend. And then we do some cool things inside this legendary plugin, which is back in the catalog. Thanks for watching. Stay well, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.